Welcome to the My Creative Days podcast, where we will talk about all things DIY, home decor, decorating tips, and creating a beautiful home on a budget. I am hoping our time together will spark a creative idea, help you plan your next DIY, or inspire you to finally tackle that project you keep putting off. Grab your favorite cup of motivation and let's chat. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. Today I have a fun little episode. I'm going to share 15 creative ways to use leftover paint. If you are like me, you do not throw away any leftover paint. We actually just got some paint samples for the flip house we're doing. I think we got 5 different samples. And it's so funny, if you watch my YouTube shorts or you follow me on Instagram, TikTok, any of those places, I shared where I sent Matt to get in. He was going to Menards, and I said, And I said, if you could grab these colors, and I gave him the color names and all that, just grab these samples. He decided that he was going to try a color. Oh my gosh, it was so funny. We knew which direction we wanted to go to kind of make it lighter and brighter in there. And his color choice, you'll have to check it out. It made us both laugh. It's so funny because I wasn't at the flip house, and so he rolled the colors on the wall, and he called me, and he was laughing. He's like, your friends are going to love this. He said, the color I got, he said, I really thought it was going to be good, but we'll just stick to me doing the painting and not picking out the colors. I thought it was the cutest thing ever. He was really trying to help, and it gave us both a really good laugh. But anyway, where I'm going with that is even those samples, like I will keep that paint because you can do so much with the smallest amount of paint and so many little projects. And I always have some little project to work on, or I'm just one of those people that I like to be creative. And so when an idea strikes, or, I find some thrifted things or yard sale things that needs a little makeover, a little bit of paint can really go a long way. And so I thought I would share with you 15 ways to use leftover paint. Or your husband went in and picked out some paint colors you didn't love on the walls, but maybe you can use on a different project. So number 1, paint the inside of drawers or cabinets. So on your furniture pieces, or maybe you have some cabinets in your kitchen, the insides of drawers are like cupboard interiors. It's a small touch that makes a big impact. I usually don't do the insides of drawers, but the inside of cabinets. We have a hutch in our living room that we it's been a while, but we made it over and I painted the inside a different color and it looks totally different. And it's just the upper half of a hutch. I didn't need a ton of paint. So it's a fun way to do like a makeover if you have a cabinet like that, or just like a glassed cabinet where, you can see the back of it, basically adding a pop of color or, some leftover paint to the back of that. It changes the whole look of it and everything that's in it just by doing that. DIY wall art, like this is a big one. Canvas, scrap wood, cardboard. I mean, you can do so much with so little to make art for your walls. You don't have to be an artist. If you're like me, you've walked into like Target or Home Goods and you're in like the framed art areas and you're like, this is $80 and I feel like, my toddler could have done this. Has anybody else done that? You just need a little bit of paint to do that. So wall art is something that that little leftover paint can go a long way for you. Update old picture frames. This is another one. Old picture frames, thrifted picture frames. I just went to yard sales and there was a whole box of free frames on the side of the road. Like using a little bit of paint and just to change the look of a picture frame, great way to use leftover paint. Painting terracotta pots. Now this is great if you want to do it, but it's also a great summer project for the kids. Use leftover paint to create color dip pots, stripes, or even fun designs to match your home's vibe, or let the kids, paint a pot with your leftover paint and then plant some flowers or something in there. It's a great project for the kids or the grandkids. Revive an accent wall. If you didn't use much of a bold paint color or you're trying to use the remainder just on a small wall or nook, a great way to add drama or just a little pop of something without needing gallons of paint. Paint light switch covers or outlet plates. They actually do have these that are paintable, but that's a great way. That's a great way to use leftover paint. A step stool or a small furniture. Whenever I have shared on YouTube, I'm doing a furniture makeover. I do share that, and I always pick up wood stools because I can try out new colors on wood stools just to see what it looks like. So I love picking up wood stools. You do not need a lot of paint a lot of the times. You can paint a whole little wood stool or even a small furniture piece with not that much paint. You would be surprised. And I've shared that many times on the YouTube channel. Add color to shelving or like the backs of bookcases. So this is kind of the same thing as like the hutch. Paint the back panel of a bookshelf. Usually, depending on what your bookshelf's made out of, you can pop those panels off. We've done lots of things. I've put old maps on the backs of bookshelves. I've put wallpaper on the backs of bookshelves. Obviously, we've done paint, but that's a great way to use leftover paint if you have it. Okay, let me take a quick break to talk about one of my favorite things, Dixie Belle Silk All-in-One Paint. This is the paint that I always recommend to beginners because it takes the overwhelm out of starting a project. It has a built-in primer, paint, and top coat all in one can. All three of those things are in one can. So you don't need to buy or worry about multiple products or multiple steps. You just grab a brush, open the can, and go. But it's not just for newbies. I use it all the time because it saves me so much time without cutting corners. My projects go a lot faster because I'm not having to do all those extra steps and have those extra products. The coverage is beautiful, it goes on smooth, and the finish is super durable with a clean, low sheen look. Whether you're flipping furniture, freshening up your cabinets, or tackling a small weekend project, I am telling you this paint is a game changer. I'll drop the link for it in the show notes so you can check it out. All right, back to the episode. DIY painted coaster. All you need are some wood slices or ceramic tiles and leftover paint. Again, this is another great activity for the kids during the summer, the grandkids. If you do daycare, summer camps, that's just another great easy project to pull out for the kids to do. Create painted labels for pantry jars or storage bins. Leftover paint can turn any surface into a writable label. So great for pantry jars, garage bins, or craft supplies. Paint planter stands or garden decor. So I have picked up many curbside finds, like curbside planters and things, and just brought them home and gave them a new coat of paint, and they look brand new. It's a great way to use leftover paint on pieces like that. Touch up scuffed baseboards or trim. Instead of letting your baseboards get dingy, use leftover trim or wall paint to refresh scuffed and worn areas throughout the house. I actually have to do that right now on the outside of our house. I need to go around with that can of paint and just kind of touch up little areas that we need it. But that's probably not going to happen until we get this flip house done. Paint wooden hangers. Add a boutique feel to your closet by painting wood hangers in pretty colors or patterns. Again, this is something our daughter, when she was younger, would have loved to do, just to get creative and just bring out a bunch of leftover paints and let her paint the hangers for her clothes in her room. Another fun project for the kids to do too. Use for holiday crafts, leftover paint for DIY ornaments, painted pumpkins, signs, or other crafts for the holidays. I remember a Pottery Barn dupe advent calendar that we made, and I just used leftover green paints that I had for the little houses for the advent calendar. It was a perfect way to use up that paint. Paint the ceiling of a small space. So if you have a small space ceiling, like think like if you have a half bath or just like a small bathroom, guest bath type of thing, closets, laundry rooms, powder rooms, it's unexpected and makes a space feel intentional. So that's another great way to use leftover paint. I know we all have leftover paint, and especially if you're somebody like me who over the years of living here and flipping houses, we have had lots of paint because I change my mind or I get an idea or what have you. Paint is my favorite DIY tool because even yesterday we were painting in the basement. And I said, it is the best tool. I was telling Matt, it gives you the biggest bang for your buck. Obviously, paint, just like everything else, has gone up in price, but it's still for that, $30 to $50, depending. It can change the entire look of a space or a thing just by applying it. So it is still my favorite DIY tool. So that's it for today's episode. If you enjoyed this podcast and found it helpful, I'd love it if you take just a minute and rate and review the podcast, no matter where you're listening, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else. Your support truly helps. It not only helps more people find the show, but it also lets me know what kind of content you're loving. So if you have a second, tap the stars, leave a quick review, and know that I appreciate every single one. Thanks for being here, and I'll talk to you next time. Hello, friends. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. I'm grateful that you tune in every week and that you share the show with your family and friends. I love having creative chit chats with you, and my hope is that this podcast will inspire you to try a new project, start a DIY that you've been putting off, and decorate your home exactly how you want it. There are a few ways you can help us with the podcast. Follow the podcast so you don't miss an episode. And if you could take a few minutes to leave the podcast a review, that would help us so much. Again, thank you for being here, and I look forward to our chat next week. Bye-bye.